called the Supreme DH V4, fourth version of the Supreme.
Yeah.
I mean, we wanted to have a new bike and trying to make quite a big step in terms of performance. And we've been thinking a lot of what we could do, and we went to that design that is quite different.
Yeah.
You've been seeing a lot of bikes like this in the past, like Balfas, the V Process. The Zero or whatever high pivot bikes. Something not super common, but something that you could see in the past.
Yeah.
Cannot quantify it, but when I was young. I just started studying when the V Process was there, So for sure, it had to have an impact on me, But I don't know exactly. It's something that I've always been in the back of my mind to try that, And while we've been trying that on a prototype, we liked it, and so that's why we decided to.
Yeah.
The obvious benefit is as the wheel pass is like rearward, then you get awesome bump absorptions. It's something that is really important, and for a downhill bike, and especially for World Cup race bike, when you get to really rough terrains and like rock gardens and that stuff, that's a good. It's hard to say something bad about the old bike, but no. One other thing, when we went from V2 to V3, we wanted to have a bike that was more lively in this thing, and we played a lot with the anti-squat. And a lot of anti-squat usually mean that you also have a lot of pedal kickback. And depending on the rider, some riders, they like it, but typically a guy that is riding with flat pedals is a bit more like, sometimes can find that level of kickback quite a problem.
Yeah.
So that was also one of the things we wanted to try, but we liked the balance we were having and the fact that the bike was pretty lively, but we wanted to get something better in terms of kickback.
So I think the message with this bike is quite a high anti-squat but low kickback.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Because of the high pivot location, it naturally gives more anti-squat that would be a low pivot. And then we worked on the idler position, like it's on the swing arm and a specific position, to give like a good level of anti-squat but a pretty low kickback, and that's something we like a lot, and something we've been also the guys like Thibaut and Remy, they've been riding the bike without chain. That's something very common, but about Aaron Gwyn and that stuff, but they found really few differences between when they were riding. Just like not pedaling, but like when they were the contact, the feeling they were having was pretty close. Usually when you take off your chain, that's another different world, and they liked it.
Did the test riders find they needed to change their riding style when they had this bike?
That was something I was kind of worried, because it's true that you need to adapt a little bit. It's a different design and you need to adapt a little bit, but especially somebody like Remy Theriault, I thought I know he needs to know very well his bike before being able to ride fast. And I was surprised to see that pretty, like from the first run he was already like easy on the bike and that stuff, but it requires some little things, the way you pull on your bike and this thing to manual and bunny up, it's a little bit more different, but once you get it, it's coming like, I don't even know what to tell you exactly. You need to put your weight on that stuff, but you get it in 2 or 3 runs, and you have it. It's always a matter of balance, And first we can adjust that level of anti-squat with the idler, like depending on the size we have, you can work on that. And it's also something that you need to have in mind with the shock. Like we are a little bit more progressive, but always when you have kickback, it's also helped the bike to stay more stable, I would say. So it's always like trying to find the best of both worlds, But I know like at the beginning there was something like tracks like for William that are some flat areas and that stuff. We were kind of worried, and then we figured out that there's a little bit. It's not as lively as a low pivot, I would say, but you gain so much in corners, in grips, and that stuff. That you actually are faster. Like on our track, we first tried in California with Remy, and they were having some flat spots and everything, and he was like, I think it's slower and everything. Then we watched we were making some timed runs, and we actually saw that he was faster. So that the bike was giving so much grip in the corners, flat corners and that stuff, and then you don't. It's like, you know, like sometimes you're on hardtail and you think you go so fast because the bike is like, wow, it's moving so around, you know. And that one was so planted that he thought he was slower, but he was faster. And we have adjustability over the reach through the head tube, because we have a 1.5 head tube and we have different inserts, so we can adjust the reach. And we have also chainstay length adjustments.
Chainstay length, what are we looking at?
We are 425 now, and you can get to 430. It's a pretty short chainstay because we have a rearward axial pass. We didn't go too far. We didn't go to the extremes because we also, I mean, it's always a matter of balance. I'm gonna repeat that forever. But
should we start that again?
No, it's fine. They can see balance. No, that's the fact that you need to have good suspension performance, but you also need to have very good handling. And if you have too much rearward axle pass, then you're gonna have a bike that is not gonna be lively and in tight corners. And when you push on the bike, then sometimes you're gonna feel the bike too long. So we find quite a medium spot where we felt that it was good. Some riders, maybe they require extremes, like some World Cup riders, sometimes they really need something because they have such a specific way. But for, I would say 90-95% of the people, if everybody is having his own way of riding and everything, it's better to keep something quite reasonable, I would say.
Let's talk about sizes. 4 sizes?
Yeah, 4 sizes. We have an extra large. Yeah, because, I mean, people are getting taller and taller, and I mean, we also wanted to offer like the possibility for tall riders to be able to ride the bike.
And you believe in aluminium?
Sure, you can see we have an aluminium bike. No, we are pretty happy with it because we know what we are doing with aluminium. Maybe some others don't with carbon, I don't know, but I don't want to know. But we find bikes where we know how to work to get the right amount of flex we need, and we are very reliable. I mean, for us, it's something so important, and we know all our numbers. We do a lot of test machines, a lot of test riding, and that's something we have a reasonable weight on that, and we work hard. I mean, aluminium doesn't mean that it's cheap bike, you know, a cheap frame. We have really high-end solution on that, high-end ways to build the frame that you don't see when you buy the frame. But the dedication we have to make something that is really good quality.
But it looks nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, we are still in a regular weight in terms of weight. We don't want to go. I mean, riders like, I'm gonna say to Remy because he's obviously one of the best riders in the world now, and he doesn't want to have a too light bike because then it's gonna feel hard to find the bike, hard to keep the bike on the ground when it needs to. So we are not 100% focused on the weight. We try to be at a reasonable weight, but reliability is our first concern, and we don't want people to get problems. So we don't want to experience too light frames.
What about
the V3 in 650B was 190 millimeter travel, because we had the idea that with 650B we were afraid to lose to make a bike that is not lively enough and that stuff. And because of usually when you try like a version of a bike that was 26 and you go to 650B, you feel like you have more travel when you get 650B. We're like, okay, let's go to 190. Should help also to get that bike that is still lively and these things. And then the guys were like, well, it's okay, but sometimes I feel like I could have a little bit more travel. And we started thinking in a different way, more like a motocross bike, like where you want to have a bike and when you case, you don't go so, I mean, you don't feel harsh. You don't want the bike like, I don't know, you case a road gap and you want to get out of the bike or something. And we wanted to have that 20 millimeter extra travel. So that's really like, it's working like from 0 to 200 millimeter. It's really working like a regular bike, and that's really like 20 millimeter, like really for really harsh landings and that stuff to help. That's not like, you have to see it more like a 200 millimeter travel bike and 20 extra millimeter, but you should not use that much.